As time progresses, marami ng mga bagong ways on how we can really crop. And lalo na at the era of climate change, may mga lumalabas na mga new methods, ayan, na mas sustainable. So in this video, we will talk about sustainable crop production. In this episode, we will talk about the dimensions of sustainable agriculture, and we will also tackle different cropping systems katulad ng lowland cropping, intensive cropping, LISA, organic farming, permaculture, upland cropping, which includes salts 1 to 4. If you're new in this channel, I am Josh from Yabong Pilipinas, and ang mission ng Yabong Pilipinas is to democratize access to agricultural education na mas maging available online yung mga coverage ng licensure exam kasi ang mahal na ng mga review centers now. And ayun, ang goal talaga is to simplify and make it understandable for each one of you guys. So I hope na if you have any questions or clarifications, mag-comment lang kayo dyan sa baba. And I will be happy to answer and help you gain knowledge in that question of yours. So let's start this video on sustainable crop production. So ano nga ba ang sustainable agriculture? So ito yung mga farming methods that balance current agricultural productivity with the protection of environmental health, economic profitability, and social equity for future generations. Dati, if you will look at my presentation on the history of agriculture, meron tayong tinatawag na Green Revolution. So sa Green Revolution, ang naging goal lang noon is to increase the yield. Kaya gumamit ng mga pesticides, maraming mga ginawang ano dito, mga stuff to increase productivity lang. Gumamit ng tractor, etc. Mechanization, ayun yung naging major focus nun. But then as time goes by, na-realize natin na mayroong mga adverse effects or mga hindi magandang epekto yung mga practices na yun, tulad ng pesticides, insecticides, even fertilizers na heavy talaga yung concentration. Meron silang mga potential na mga risks and disadvantages sa health ng ating environment. So kaya tayo nagkaroon ng sustainable agriculture. And it is somehow the balance of environmental health still having economic profitability. Ibig sabihin, may kita pa rin dapat yung mga farmers kahit na tinitake into consideration natin yung health ng ating environment. And of course, social equity for future generations. Ang ibig sabihin lang na hindi natin aabusuhin kung ano yung meron man tayo sa ating environment ngayon, bagkus, gagawin natin siyang ano pa rin, usable pa rin for the next generations to come. So here are the 7 dimensions of sustainable agriculture. Let's go to each one of them one by one. First is ecologically sound. So ang goal ng sustainable agriculture is to preserve and enhance natural ecosystems while farming. So ito yung ilan sa mga practices na merong ganitong principle or dimension. Yung sa biodiversity, promoting diverse crop varieties and natural habitats. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, kaya siya biodiversity in a specific area of land, mas marami yung mga species na nandoon. Kaya I don't know if naging malaking issue ba siya, pero parang medyo na-call out dati yung isang initiative ng isang application wherein magtatanim tapos yun pala yung itatanim ay coconut trees, which has its ano ito, downside. Meron din siyang advantage for our coconut farmers, but on the other hand, if we will look at our ecology, magiging para siyang like monocropping, which is better sana if diverse yung crops na itatanim, something like that. So biodiversity, I don't know if alam niyo yung ano na yun. Pero parang hindi naman siya yata lumaki na sobra. Pero yeah. Next is soil health, use of cover crops, composting, and no-till farming. In terms of soil, I am actually building, or by this time na lumabas to, tapos na yung series na ginagawa ko with our educational partner from the United States, Omaha Gardener, wherein meron akong diniscuss doon na 12 episodes on the soil properties. Like, maraming aspects ng soil. So if you want a head start for your review sa soil science, then you can go ahead to that channel. I will also link it in this video. Ayan. Yun nga lang, pure English yun since our audience is from the United States. Pero what I advise you to do is to still watch it and i-on nyo na lang yung subtitles. I think tama naman yung mga subtitles ng YouTube na inilagay doon. Ayun lang. Next is water conservation, efficient irrigation, and rainwater harvesting. Yeah. So ang outcome is it protects natural resources and minimizes pollution. So we need to take into account that yung mga practices na gagawin natin in our farm, if we are practicing sustainable agriculture, or if we want agriculture to be sustainable, so dapat ecologically sound. The next one is economically viable. So ang meaning lang nito, it ensures the farming operations are financially sustainable. So that is somehow one of the disadvantage din siguro ng ating conventional agriculture or yung ating traditional agriculture wherein we use a lot of inputs like fertilizers, pesticides, etc. because it will incur additional costs for the farmers. Ang meaning lang nun, may gastos ulit yung farmer. 'Di ba? So bibili sila ng seeds, bibili sila ng buto, tapos bibili ulit sila ng ganito, ng ganyan. So that is one of the considerations. Kaya if titignan natin, saan nga ba to? Sa soil science yata dati, parang nagko-compute kami ng, actually meron din yata sa channel na to pala. May video rin ako on computation of fertilizers, tapos i-compute mo rin kung magkano yung kailangan ng farmer to buy yung fertilizer na yon for 1 hectare. And it happened na parang sobrang laki, 20 plus thousand, 30 plus thousand. And to think that that is only for fertilizers and not like pesticides or even land preparation, yung gasolina na kailangan para sa tractor, or even yung seeds mismo. So, doon pa lang ang laki na ng gastos ng farmer. So, ayun, that speaks a lot when it comes to the situation of agriculture in the Philippines. Kaya yung iba nakikisakan na lang sa lupa ng iba. Kasi ayun din, meron pang renta yun, mga ganun na bagay. So, in terms of economy, when we are practicing sustainable agriculture, ang gusto natin is magkaroon ng balance with short-term gains and long-term sustainability. So in terms of profitability, kailangan din ng diversification. Let's say, for example, hindi lang isa dapat yung pagkukuhanan ng income for a specific farm. If you want to practice sustainable agriculture, kailangan pwede kang magkaroon ng crops, ng livestock, even fisheries. Pwede yung mga ganun. So, ano tawag dito? Ecological garden. Ano yung tawag nga doon? I, uh, na lang? Eco farms. Ayun. Eco farms. Meron kaming vlog na ginawang ganun dati sa agricultural extension na nag-feature kami ng eco farm sa San Pablo. Tapos, ayun, nakakatuwa kasi hindi lang plants talaga yun nandun. Meron silang mga baka, tapos meron silang mushroom. Like marami talagang ganap dun sa integrated farm na yon. So it's fun and also sustainable, I guess. So next is resource efficiency, minimizing input cost, katulad nga ng mga sinabi ko kanina. However, the challenges when it comes to or economic viability is that yung market prices most of the time, or well, nakadepende naman talaga sa economy, pero most of the time mababa yung market prices ng mga commodities. Yung input cost, that is a major challenge kasi kailangan ng pondo, ng fund, ng pera para sa fertilizers, sa water, sa irrigation, sa gasolina ng mga tractor, etc. So, ganon. And access to credit. Kaya marami rin tayong mga cases na yung mga farmers na babaon sa utang kasi kailangan nila para makapagsimula ng kanilang taniman. Next, yeah, socially just, humane, and equitable. So ang meaning lang nito is may fairness and may dignity for all participants in the agricultural system. What do you mean by that? Una, meron tayong fair labor. So safe working conditions, fair wages kapag ikaw ay isang big time farmer, then meron kang mga trabahador. So supporting ng farm workers. Equitable access, so yung land rights for smallholders, women, and marginalized groups. So isa rin to sa mga goal ng sustainable agriculture if you really want, or isa sa mga dimensions ng sustainable agriculture. And humane farming, ethical treatment of animals, and responsible farming practices. And kaya meron tayong mga specific laws. Let's say for example, in the case of animal science, we have Republic Act number 8485, I guess, which is the Animal Welfare Act of, I actually forgot kung anong taon yon, pero Animal Welfare Act siya. Ayun. So, we have a lot of things na kailangan i-consider. Hindi lang yung economic, meron din yan socially, and also profitability, tapos environment. Yeah, so another dimension of sustainable agriculture is cultural appropriation and sensitivity. So the goal of this dimension is to respect and integrate local traditions, knowledge, and cultural values in farming practices. So ayan, indigenous knowledge, utilizing traditional farming techniques, respect for local customs, aligning farming practices with community values, community involvement, engaging locals in decision-making processes for better outcomes. So let's say for example, in the case of indigenous knowledge, no, meron akong kinwento dun sa episode here on plant growth regulators. Meron akong kinwento doon na gumamit kami ng wild rice from indigenous, or yes, from an indigenous community. Tapos tinanong namin yung advisor namin if pwede bang i-publish yung data on that, pero ang sabi niya, hindi. That is sensitivity and cultural appropriation. Kasi kailangan nating i-respect na yung mga seeds na yon ay pag-aari ng community na yon. So, sabi, okay, that is respected, and ganun dapat tayo na kapag kunwari nakakuha tayo ng resources from indigenous communities, we should not like, ano tawag dito? Capitalize on them, which is very sad kasi marami gumagawa nun. Pero in the context of sustainable agriculture, or actually just agriculture in general, dapat merong respect when it comes to indigenous knowledge and the local communities. So that's culturally appropriate and sensitive. Oh, the next one is grounded on holistic science. So one of the things that I learned from, I think, a subject sa UPLB, which is ecological agriculture, one of the key terms na laging binabanggit ng professor ko noon ay holistic. Agriculture is a holistic science. Na we should not only consider one portion of science when it comes to decision making. Instead, we need to consider a lot of things. Ayan, nakalagay dito sa approach systems thinking. So understanding farming as a part of a larger ecosystem na hindi lang siya, okay, magtatanim ako ng ganito, ito lang siya. Kasi ang agriculture itself, it is a multidisciplinary science. It needs knowledge on diseases, on insect biology, animal science, soil science. A lot of things are actually in agriculture. So kailangan when we do decisions that are within the sphere of sustainable agriculture, we need to think in a systems level thinking. Ayan. So agroecology, integrating ecological principles into farm management, again, with the knowledge on environment. Ayan. So agroecology. And of course, research and innovation, applying the latest scientific findings to improve sustainability. And this is somehow one of the barriers when it comes to agriculture, kasi when we go to agricultural extension, we will learn that most of the farmers that we have right now are actually not early adopters. So hindi sila nagja-jump in agad sa research and innovation. And that's why we need more farmers who are younger, because younger generations are more receptive when it comes to technology. Like, kapag yung mga farmers natin most of the time, nagre-rely sila on traditional knowledge, on things that are already working. But when it comes to the receptivity ng technology, minsan mas mababa. And that's the problem, or that's the gap that we are actually bridging sa agricultural extension, na mas maipabahagi sa mga farmers natin kung ano nga ba yung mga teknolohiya na ginagawa ng agriculture na on the research industry. Ayun. Yan. In terms of that technology side, of course, kailangan din appropriate yung use ng technology. Ang isa sa mga kailangan natin when it comes to sustainable agriculture is that we can really acknowledge na the direction or the trajectory of our world right now is really going towards technology. And if we will not adapt doon sa technology na yon, ang mangyayari sa atin is mahuhuli tayo when it comes to productivity. Well, nauhuli na rin naman talaga tayo. Pero mas magiging ganon kung hindi tayo mag-a-adapt sa technology. Mag-a-adapt and mag-a-adopt ng technology. Ayun. So, ang key practices, ayan, meron tayong, let's say for example, precision farming, using data and sensors to optimize input use. So, we can do that when it comes to crop production, yung greenhouse, may specific doon, dapat na humidity, na temperature para maging optimum yung condition for the plants. We also need, or we can also use renewable energy like solar and wind energy for farming operations. Actually, a lot of farms are actually using this na. I think Koika, tama nga ba Koika? Basta a partner, a lot of conferences that I've attended, merong isang company, parang Korean-based company yata siya, or Korean company, tas may mga stations sila sa Philippines. Tas ayun, may mga greenhouses sila na solar-powered na, and that's amazing. Next is biotechnology, of course, responsibly using advancement to improve crop resilience and yield. So, dito papasok yung genetic engineering, usage of GMOs, etc. But then, if we will go back again, dun sa kanina, we also need to take into account social factors, and at the same time, yung culture na meron. So, let's say for example, meron isang indigenous community, kung ayaw nilang tumanggap ng like GMO crops or what, we need to respect that. And ayun. So ayun yung context, or ayun yung dimensions ng sustainable agriculture. And of course, I think this is the last one, full development of human potential. Oh, yun. So lahat ng mga ginagawa natin sa agriculture, etc., kung hindi siya magagamit or mapapakinabangan ng mga tao, it will be nothing. So empower individuals through education, skills development, and capacity building in agriculture. And when it comes to agriculture, we also need to empower other people na hindi lang tayo yung may alam ng knowledge na to. So focuses include farmer education, leadership development, and community empowerment. Na hindi lang tayo yung may alam, magtuturo tayo para maitaas natin yung kaalaman sa mga komunidad. Ayun. So those are the 7 dimensions of sustainable agriculture. Next, let us go to the cropping systems. So here in this cropping systems, we will talk about, I think, 6 different cropping systems. And starting with high external input agriculture. Example nito is yung lowland cropping system sa rice. So kaya siya high external input agriculture kasi kailangan mo ng maraming input. Let us say, for example, yung seed, fertilizers, yung irrigation. So those are high external inputs na kailangan. Kaya rice remains like one of the crops talaga na pinagfo-focusan natin. Like, ang daming varieties ng rice, ang daming credit and loans para sa mga rice farmers, mga ganon. Even mga cooperatives, most of them, ang focus ay rice or corn, yung mga ganon. So, maraming input for that. Characteristics ng lowland cropping system requires irrigation or seasonal flooding, heavy resilience on wetland conditions, multiple cropping possible due to high soil fertility. So those are just some of the characteristics. Basically, lowland rice. Now let's go to intensive cropping system. So intensive cropping system, example, ayan, corn, high input, high output system aimed at maximizing crop yield per unit area. So pros niya increases productivity and income. The cons is depleting soil nutrients, increases pest pressure. So ito na yung sinasabi ko na, okay, hindi natin, kapag yung intensive cropping system, hindi natin tinitake into account yung environment kasi it can deplete the soil nutrients as long as marami kang harvest. Ayun na yung mahalaga. Kaya high input, high output system. Tapos ang goal lang niya is to maximize crop yield. Now, here are some like more sustainable agriculture talaga. We have the low external input agriculture. Example of this is LESA, low external input sustainable agriculture. Ito yung farming system that minimizes external inputs while maximizing the efficiency of locally available resources. One of the example of this, and yes, I can say that is one of the example, is yung biointensive garden. Meron akong a whole video on the biointensive gardening here kasi ang focus nun is to maximize yung yield kahit na maliit lang yung land. Ganon. So, and limited yung resources. So ito yung ilan sa mga practices na ginagawa for LESA. We have crop rotation, rotating different crops in the same field from one season to the next. Ang epekto nito is na enhance yung soil fertility and help prevent the buildup of pests and diseases. So if you want to learn more about this, I will link here yung discussion ko on the biointensive gardening. Integrated pest management is also another practice. It uses a combination of biological, mechanical, and chemical pest control. So in this way, hindi lang tayo nagre-rely sa chemical fertilizers. Marami tayong ginagamit na mas sustainable and also mas hindi mataas na input. Yan, hindi mahal. Ganyan. So IPM, I will also link the video in the comment section for my discussion ng integrated pest management. We also have conservation tillage. So reducing tillage in farming helps decrease soil erosion, enhances soil structure, and lowers the need for external inputs. Ang meaning lang ng conservation tillage, kasi di ba, in conventional agriculture, or in the traditional way of, let's say, for example, planting, kailangan mong ano ngayon? Till. Till, yung may harrow, may furrowing, mga ganon. So, kailangan mong i-destroy yung soil kasi bloke-bloke sila, di ba? So, one thing na pwedeng gawin is conservation tillage. Kasi, kapag tinil mo ang lupa, possible, syempre, liliit yung particles niyan. So, mas prone siya sa soil erosion. Ayun. So, conservation tillage helps decrease soil erosion. Of course, water management practices like rainwater harvesting and efficient irrigation can help optimize water use and reduce stress on agricultural systems. So now let's go to organic agriculture. So ito ng organic agriculture naman, farming without synthetic chemicals. So ang process lang na ginagamit or ang focus lang talaga is yung mga natural inputs. So that's organic agriculture. So here are the key principles. No synthetic inputs. And avoiding chemical pesticides, fertilizers, and GMOs. So that's for organic agriculture. Natural pest control. So encourages beneficial insects and crop rotations. Then of course, ang focus then is soil health, use of compost, cover crops, and organic matter to build soil fertility. The next one is permaculture. So sa permaculture naman, it is a design system for creating sustainable and self-sufficient agricultural systems. So ang permaculture, actually, feel ko hindi ko siya i-discuss dito. Pero meron kasi siyang 12 like principles talaga, then meron pang mga ethics, etc. So, ang ano lang niya is ito yung mga key principles niya, mimicking natural systems. So permaculture is not only a system talaga, it is actually a design. Parang it is a way of living then as well, na ang permaculture hindi lang siya tangible stuff, but it is a way of living that let's say for example, instead of having your own car, mas encourage nila yung mag-carpooling. So those are some of the principles na kinukuha rin ng permaculture. So ito din yung iba, mimicking natural systems. So designs inspired by nature cycles and ecosystems. Then meron tayong tinatawag sa permaculture na zones of use. So it organizes farm layout based on proximity to human activity. So let us say for example, yung mga garden mas malapit sa bahay mo or kunwari sa gitna meron kang bahay. Tapos dito yung mga garden mo, then yung mga forest nandoon sa mas malayong lugar. So that's a permaculture key principle, zones of use. Then of course, diversity and resilience, promoting variety of crops, animals, and plants for stability and sustainability. So in permaculture, hindi lang isa, hindi lang dalawa yung ginugrow mo. Marami kang ginugrow, maraming possible source of income, maraming possible source of food for you na magkaroon ng maraming resource for your own consumption. Ayun. And siguro for business, ganyan. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na ethics ng permaculture. We have the care for the earth, care for people, and fair share. So ayan yung tatlong ethics of permaculture. And now, as we end, let us go to the upland cropping systems. So we have SALT 1, SALT 2, SALT 3, SALT 4. So itong upland cropping system, ang major netong ganap is conservation ng soil and water management. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na SCWM, tama ba? Soil Conservation and Water Management Measures. Ayan. I will be discussing those different measures in another video. I will create that one under soil science. Doon ko siya ilalagay na lang. So, ito. Ito yung mga sistema sa taas or sa mga mabundok na lugar. Ito yung kanilang characteristics. So, they are dependent on rainfall. They are prone to soil erosion and water scarcity. Kaya merong soil conservation and water management measures. And ayan, requires conservation techniques to maintain soil fertility. Let us start with SALT 1. So in this the series of slides, I think 4 slides na lang naman na. Pwede nyo tingnan yung design kasi tinisign ko lang din to based sa characteristic ng mga salt na yan. Okay, let's start with SALT 1. SALT 1, sloping agricultural land technology. It is a form of contour farming. So, for example, ito, meron kang isang hilera. Sa contour line, meron dong mga halaman. Pwedeng vegetables, ganyan. Or mga legumes, ganyan. So, contour hedgerow planting with leguminous trees. Ayan, katulad ng kakawate, ipil-ipil, yung mga yan. Then agroforestry for long-term soil fertility and integration of perennial crops with annual crops. So, a key characteristic ng SALT 1 ay contour farming. Okay, tinan nyo yung design ng slide. Next, punta tayo sa SALT 2. So, sa SALT 2, same pa rin ang SALT 1 pero meron ng... Ay, wait lang. Hindi pa pala. Okay, sige. Mali. Hindi ko na ikakat to. Ayan. Ito kasi lumabas pala ito sa amin dati. Anong tawag dito? Sila yung gumawa ng SALT 1. Yung Mindanao Baptist Rural Life Center. So, ayun. It is from Kinuwakusan on Mindanao Island in the Philippines. Noong lumabas to sa lecture namin, mali ko to. Alam kong mali ko siya kasi sabi ko, bakit naman merong Baptist dito? Something like that. Tapos yung pala sila yung sagot. Kasi ang parang sinagot ko ay Food and Agriculture Organization. Yun. So, ayan. Isa to sa mga mali ko dati. Anyway, SALT 2 na tayo. So sa SALT 2, nadagdag si livestock. So SALT 1, hedgerows. SALT 2, si livestock. Kaya simple agro-livestock technology. So integration of livestock into sloping land farming systems. So meron pa rin contour hedgerows to reduce soil erosion. Pero meron ng livestock kung saan ayun yung source ng animal manure, yan, to enhance soil fertility. So, ayan, may goats, chickens, ayan. The next one is SALT 3. So, merong agroforestry systems. So, nadagdag ulit. Meron na dagdag na component, which is tree crops. So, meron pa rin yung mga hedgerows, meron pa rin yung livestock, pero may dagdag na tree crops. So, it maximizes land use by layering tree, crop, and livestock production. Promotes long-term sustainability through biodiversity. And lastly, we have SALT 4. Natanggal na silang lahat. Naging puro prutas na lang na nasa gilid. So it emphasizes fruit trees and perennials. So it's naman ay small agro-fruit livelihood technology. So ang key features ay planting of high-value fruit crops like citrus, mango, or coffee, diversifies income sources, soil conservation through permanent vegetative cover. So dito, pumapasok yung principle ng multi-story cropping. So yung mga highly, ano tawag dito? Heliophytes ay nasa taas, yung mga kailangan ng maraming sun, etc. Then, habang sa next is yung mga ano lang, meso, yung mga kailangan na ng average na lighting. And yung mga cyophytes or yung shade-loving ay nasa baba. Ayun. So, SALT 1 is focus sa contour farming. SALT 2, may livestock na. SALT 3, nagkaroon na ng mga fruit trees sa gilid. And SALT 4, focus on fruit trees and perennials. And yes, I think that's it for this episode. If you learned something in this video, can you like, subscribe, and also you can also leave comments kung meron kayong mga questions. I will be answering them as soon as possible. Then, if you have a friend na gusto mong pumasa ng licensure with you, kindly forward this video to them and share this to your social media para mas mapalagana pa natin ang libreng kaalaman dito sa YouTube. Ayan. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for listening. See you in the next episode. Bye.